Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports for yet another video. And today we are here back with the team previews. So, as we discussed about the defending champions on our episode 1, today we're going to be talking about New Zealand. Now, New Zealand were the runners up, and they were runners up by the barest of margins, as one would say it. So, the match went on to become a tie, both in super over and in the full game, and in the boundary count, they were decided runners up. Now, that is the most hurtful thing for a New Zealand fan over the last 4 years, isn't it? They became the World Test champions from there on in the 2021 edition by defeating India. So they did get their hands on the ICC trophy. Then they went on to play another World Cup final, which was the 2021 ICC T20 World Cup final against Australia, where they went on to become runners-up once again. So remember, the last two World Cups, they were the runners-up, 2015 and 2019. At T20 World Cup 2021, there was a runners-up. 2022 T20 World Cup made it to the semi-finals. Then you talk about 2011 World Cup, they made it to the semi-finals once again. We can talk about New Zealand. They were one of the most consistent teams historically in ICC tournaments, and that's primarily because of what they bring into the fold. It's just not about how they go about it. It's just about the consistency factor what they have. And today we're going to be talking about what this New Zealand team holds. Now, we'll start by looking at the squad of this New Zealand team. Like, it's a very interesting squad when you look at the kind of players they have in offing. Number one, to start off with, we can talk about the Kane Williamson factor here. Now, massive player for this team. Coming back after an injury, so that's the most important thing we need to look into here. He's coming back after an injury, so meanwhile he might not be available for their first game. That is going to be against England. That is the repeat of the last World Cup final. So that's the first game they're playing in Ahmedabad, the first game, and he will not be available for that. So that is a major news what we have. And Tom Latham is going to be the stand-in captain for that game. Now that is where they started their campaign. The most important thing what we need to look into here once again is what does New Zealand team do without Kane Williamson? Now one can say not a big miss. They still have enough players to fill in his role. So once Kane Williamson is back, you can say that he's going to be batting in number 3 for this team. But above all of this, we have to be talking about another major player in this team. When we talk about major players, we have to talk about someone like a Devin Conway. I've been with Chennai Super Kicks, massive players, scoring runs, subcontinent, good player of spin, can keep wickets if need be, and is going to be massive for this team as well. So Devin Conway is a massive factor in this team. But now who's going to open with Devin Conway? Now, you saw that in the warm-up game against Pakistan. Rachin Ravindra, a young Rachin Ravindra was sent out to open, scored a beautiful 97 against them, played some mind-boggling shots. Now, one thing which you need to know about New Zealand team over the years is that they're not afraid of experimenting. They're one team who will always come up with new plans, one team who will always come up with new ideas and how they go about it. And New Zealand team this time around as well will not be shy of experimenting at all. Now, that is where the strength of this New Zealand team lies in their way of how they go about it. Now, that is a massive factor for this team. It all depends on how they really are ready to go about it, especially when it comes to maybe sending out someone like a young Rachin Ravindra or a Will Young. Now, Will Young is another youngster who's done well in subcontinent conditions, playing well in Bangladesh, did well in that series over there. And then they've got a Mike Chapman as well. Now, Mark Chapman is another player who might bat in the middle order for them. But the major factor players, if you talk about opening combination, that's where if Rachin Ravindra is going to open the batting for them, from whatever we saw of him, aggressive batter, hasn't really played a lot of cricket opening the batting in international cricket, but has got the goods to go out there and do. And they're going to be playing in some good batting decks as well. If you talk about their first game in Ahmedabad, a true surface, what you can say, we here love playing there. Then they come back to playing in Hyderabad once again against Netherlands. So from Ahmedabad to Hyderabad, that's going to be an interesting journey for them. So that is where how this team will go about it will be decided. Then they play Bangladesh. Now, second game it's the Netherlands. Then they go to Chennai. Now, that is where this team is going to be slightly tested. Now, playing in spinning conditions, how they go about in spinning conditions, both Bangladesh and Afghanistan games are going to be the games where they're going to be tested slightly as well. Now, if you look at the squad on the paper, you can say that they've got the players. They've got the players so far to play even in the spinning conditions. But the game against India and Dharamshala is where they really fancy their chances because That's their you can say that's their fifth game in the schedule, and that is going to be very interesting game because then they play in two of the games in Dharamshala, both in Australia and India. Favorable conditions, one can say so for them, because that is where they really fancy the chance of saying that, okay, wait a minute, maybe this is where Trent Bolt can come into picture. This is where a Matt Henry can come into picture. Now, if you look at this team, they've got enough goods in them. If you look at the players, well, these are some of the biggest names out there in world cricket, isn't it? But they've done well over the years. They've done well because of what we've seen of them as well. One of the stronger bowling attacks in the recent past as well, and this is our team to watch out for. For all that we talk about, this could be the team to really watch out for once again because of the bowling attack they've got. They've got maybe the availability of Tim Southee is a question once again, but the spinners of Sodhi and spinners of Mitchell Santner will be a big factor in this team, and they are going to be the big factor once again come this World Cup. And in Asian conditions, you would need your spinners picking up wickets, and that is where Sodhi and Mitchell Santner is going to be massive factor for this team once again. Now that's one facet to this. That is one facet where we talk about how this team can really look on the paper when it comes to their bowling attack. But when you talk about Matt Henry, or when you talk about someone like a Tim Southee or Trent Bolt, Tim Southee's availability is still under scanner. But definitely Trent Bolt is going to be massive for this team with whatever he has shown playing in IPL or whatever we've seen since 2019 World Cup. You can say these two are going to be massive for this team once again. And if you look at that squad once again, you can understand that if Kane Williamson can slot in number 3 and start scoring runs, from whatever we saw of him in the warm-up game against Pakistan, he looked good. Even though he was not fully fit, he looked good. The shots where he was able to time the ball well, timing was right up there. You can say it was a batting surface, but whatever time he would have spent in the middle, he would have gained a lot of confidence there. And that is where Kane Williamson will be fancying his chances batting at number 3. Alongside him at number 4 is going to be interesting because it could be Tom Latham, who has got enough experience playing in these conditions. And then at number 5, you can expect a Darren Mitchell. At number 6 is where it's going to be very interesting for them. They've got a couple of options there in Glenn Phillips and Mark Chapman. You can say more reliable option is a Mark Chapman because of what you've seen of him in the one-day cricket. Because with Glenn Phillips, you've still not seen what he can deliver on a big day in one-day cricket. And Mark Chapman has done nothing wrong in what the opportunities he got. So it's going to be a toss-up between Mark Chapman and someone like Glenn Phillips. Most likely it could be Mark Chapman with the left-hand option, what he brings. And on days, they can also go to Glenn Phillips as well because he can offer with the ball. Gun fielder, you can say. So a definition of a gun fielder really lies in what Glenn Phillips is. He has been a sensation in world cricket with his fielding efforts. And at number 7, you can go with a Jimmy Neesham. Then you have a number 8 batter, Bokam bowler in Mitch Santner. Then Sodhi. Then you have your Matt Henry and Trent Bolt at 10 and 11 for you to really maybe form a strong bowling core for this team. Now, what are the missing pieces in this team, right? Now, that's the most important thing. Now, if you look at the missing pieces, you can say they might want to go in with 3 pieces on these because they have option to do it so. While doing that, maybe they can go in with a Lockie Ferguson, but can they afford to drop an extra spinner for that? But that is where is Jimmy Neesham the right third pacer, or should they go in with someone like a Lockie Ferguson or Tim Southee once he's fit? That is where the question is going to lie for the New Zealand team. Now, they've got all the bases covered so far in terms of their batting efforts as well. They've got almost every player there kicking in, running in the form. They had a very half-decent series, you can say, in England against England, where they were not very impressive with the bat. But come the World Cup, they always tend to turn up. Now, that's why I said they have a couple of areas which they have to really connect, which is whether to go in with 2 spinners or whether to go in with 3 seamers and a spinner. Now, the spinner could be a choice where it is Sodhi and Mitch Santner, but they still would want to go in with 2 spinners because that's been their forte in these conditions of both our wicket-taking spinners as well. Even though Mitch Santner can go into a defensive role, but with Sodhi there, they really partner each other pretty well. And then they have a Jimmy Neesham and the part-time option of Darren Mitchell and you can say Glenn Phillips on days of Glenn Phillips is playing, or they can maybe look at someone like on days they can look at Rachin Ravindra as well, because Rachin Ravindra is another option. So this could be very interesting because they look like a spin-heavy side at this point. If Rachin Ravindra is going to open the batting for them, that's going to be 3 spinners in their 11. And that is going to give them a lot of bowling options, and adding to the fact that they might want to maybe look in at a different option. Maybe a Mitchell Sander could make way. That is a possibility, but that might just curtail their batting order till number 7. So these are options. These are questions they will have to answer very quickly, because come the first game against England, they will have to put in their A game. So Rachin Ravindra's inclusion in the top order is primarily looking at what they have in the squad. Now, if you look at their squad as well, they want to go in with 3 pizza options, because they will be playing conditions like Dharamshala, where you will really want to go in with 3 spinners or 2 spinners as well. You will want to go in with an extra seamer, and that could be Lockie Ferguson on this, because Lockie Ferguson, you can still say he goes for a lot of runs. That is an issue. That is a concerning factor with Lockie Ferguson. That's been a historical concern with Lockie Ferguson, the bowler, as well. But then if you want to really look beyond Lockie Ferguson, maybe you want to look at Tim Southey towards the latter end of the tournament once they are there and thereabouts. So that is where the New Zealand team will really be fancying the chances with what they have. Now, if you talk about the batting as well, now if you talk about some of the biggest major batters, you have to talk about players like Darren Mitchell. There was an interesting stat, because when New Zealand were playing their World Cup final in 2019, Darren Mitchell was a 28-year-old sitting at home. Now, since then, the time has come a long way. He is possibly one of the starting names on that list for Darren Mitchell, Tom Latham, or when we talk about Kane Williams coming back into this team. Now, David Conway, his factors will be massive for this team as well. It's giving his condition, the conditions what he's played in the subcontinent, over the IPL, and his game against spin is going to be massive. And that is where we can say Darren Mitchell, Devin Conway, Tom Latham, Kane Williamson, they will form an important core. Then you will have the floaters, likes of Mark Chapman, likes of Rachin Ravindra, or Will Neal on days, Glenn Phillips on days, Jimmy Neesham on days. So these are the floaters they can form in with, but their biggest question is going to be the number 6 and number 8, who's going to really back in for them. Because if they can clear out those 2 questions come the first game, and then they can really move ahead with the conditions, because they'll be playing a couple of the games in Chennai as well, as I mentioned, against Bangladesh, a strong spin bowling attack, and against Afghanistan, another strong spin bowling attack. So if you look at that, those 2 options, now if you look at the batting order once again, you can see that they can go in with the 3 spinner options on days like that, or other days they can go in with 3 seamers. Now that is where the question is going to be. But they would certainly want Sandner and Soli to form a partnership. But then if Rachin Ravindra is going to open, that's always going to be a luxury for them with his bowling prowess, what he brings into the table, and also with his batting as well. Now that is where New Zealand team forms a very strong team for this 2023 World Cup once again. A lot of people tend to write this team off. That's primarily because of, you can say they're not a big heavyweight leading into any World Cup. But come the World Cup, they always turn it up. And that is where New Zealand team is a team who's got a lot of bases covered when it comes to fielding, one of the best fielding units in the world. When it comes to tactical nuances, you can say they use their tactics to most perfection, especially when it comes to bowling plans, batting, especially floating up the batters here and there. Now you can say once again, New Zealand could be one of the dark horses making it to the top 4. Now, how do you rate the squad? You can say it's a 7 on 10 squad at this point, considering they have some injury issues and they have certain areas to really cover up on. 7 on 10 squad could possibly make the semifinals. We can give them a 35% chance at this point to make the semifinals because of what they have in the squad. Come maybe the first 5 games of the tournament, if they get off to a good start, then that chance definitely improves. As of now, 35% chance, 7 on 10 for the squad. And the player to watch out for from this team is certainly going to be Trent Bolt once again, because if Trent Bolt has a good World Cup, giving opening wickets for them more often than not, then this team is in a good stead and they can be in better position to win games as well, because they're going to be playing some of those games in conditions like Pune, in conditions like Dharamshala as well. So do let us know in the comments what is your ideal starting 11 for the New Zealand squad, and also who are the players to watch out for. For more of these updates and more of these previews, do not forget to watch Mad About Sports. Because stay tuned on the space, because this is where we're going to be giving you all the latest World Cup previews, and also leading into the World Cup, some live streams as well, interacting with you. You can let us know your thoughts, and at the same time, we can let us know our thoughts as well. And do check out our courses of analytics with Mad About Sports. If you want to really sit in the dugouts and make some big calls, do check that out as well. This could be a stepping stone to the big career of yours. See you all very soon. Bye-bye.